Dear people in Asian male, white female communities, I thought some of you might resonate with my experiences, especially those single Asian guys who are in their 20s and 30s. I'm writing this for those who are going through struggles with datings and getting into a relationship. I would like to share the story of my path of singlehood and dating in the past. Here is a little bit of my background. I have only been in international relationships. My first relationship started at age 29, and I'm currently in a relationship over 3 years, which happened to be with an American woman. From early adulthood, I had a hard time getting into a relationship. Even having a good date was very difficult in South Korea. As I was studying English and getting into American culture through the media, I started to get interested in foreign women, especially Americans. One day when I was 23, I had a few dates with an American woman. Although we went on a date only 2 or 3 times, for me, she was a very positive experience from the beginning to the end. Also, it was the only good date I've experienced until that time. That's how bad my dating experiences were in my early 20s. After countless failures, rejections, heartbreaks, I swore to myself twice that I will never date with Korean women again. From that point, I gradually became a closet, hardcore racist against my own. The word racist might not be a precise vocabulary to describe my attitude in the past, but for now, let's not go about nitpicking on terminology. I'll explain my idea of what racism is in another time. So, not only did I hate Korean women, but I was unhappy with everything about Korea. My whole life, I was an oddball, an individual quite deviated from Korean society. I've never found a single group or community that I feel sense of belonging in Korea. Eventually, I wanted to change my environment so people that I get to meet are at least different from Koreans. And I was attracted to many things about America from what I've read and seen in books and media. So I took a flight to the USA. I've lived in California for 4 years from 2006 to 2010. The USA was indeed a better environment for me. I felt like fish in the water. I could breathe better and I felt more joy. I was comfortable with pretty much everything there. Never had much difficulty adjusting myself to new customs. I felt a lot more adequate and was happy about many things there. The mentality of people, social norms, and emotionality, all of them were far more close to who I am than those of Koreans. Believe it or not, I didn't have any date with American when I was living in California. Not a single date. For 4 years. None. Of course I tried, but it really didn't happen. I was disappointed how women in California were not open to me. I felt it was because of my ethnicity. I'm not saying that majority of American women in California at the time were indifferent to Asian. Even if they were biased towards Asian men, that was not really the core issue. I didn't see what the real problem was at the time. The problem and the answer was a matter of the law of attraction. Because my hatred against my own was too intense, although being a closet racist, I've never expressed anything outwardly, women I've met probably could sense my negative energy. That's why I was not attracting American women. Even if there was attraction, probably the negative vibration from me pushed them away. I used to hate Korean women for how I've been treated by them. Then hatred became indifference. To tell you how bad my racism against my own was, here's an example. When I saw an Asian woman, let's say 30 meters away from me, I didn't even look in that direction because I didn't want to give anything to her. Hatred is distorted love. mutated by frustration and disappointment. But indifference is a state of absolute absence of love. Although my negativity didn't bring me what I wanted, there were some positive experiences. I lived in a hostel for about 20 months, which gave me an opportunity to interact with loads of international travelers, many of which were Europeans. At first, I wasn't interested in European women because they don't smile at first glance. I took that as prejudice or hostility, but I tried to be open minded. Eventually, I got interested in European women. I made friends with several of them, and some of them became quite intimate with me. All of my female friends were already in relationship, so I was technically speaking friend zoned. But I didn't feel any racism from them. The intimacy that I could have with those European friends cooled my burning hatred toward Korean women and also somewhat eased the bitterness from being not accepted by American women. I started to feel more okay with not being in a relationship. I learned many lessons from interacting with women from all around the world. One of them is how to be content with whatever I get. I was grateful for having a date even though I didn't get laid and they didn't get into a relationship with me. Those experiences were a good opportunity to practice confidence and assertiveness. After a while, there was no more simping, no more self-sabotaging. By the time I moved back to Korea, I was managing my negative feelings much better. Loneliness no longer overpowered me, and bitterness I felt from failures was as mild as coffee. While I was developing good qualities, I knew I really need to get over this particular issue, racism against my own. Otherwise, I will continue to bump into women who won't date me because of my ethnicity. So I opened up to Korean women as well. For the most of time, I didn't approach them nor initiate anything, but I allowed them to approach me. And I was open to their initiation when they did. With foreign women in Korea, I was quite initiative. There were frequent opportunities to meet them, and most of the time, attraction was mutual. That helped my confidence to be at good level. When I met my first girlfriend for the first time, I wasn't nervous or anxious about failure. I believed that things would go well, and even I said to my friend, I'm gonna date with this woman, as a statement after having a second date with her. Then, after 3 or 4 dates, she was in a relationship with me. She was more beautiful than anyone I've come across before, and she didn't have any vanity or insincerity. Because I no longer had that negative energy, it was easier to develop our relationship quickly. Having to be in a relationship with that kind of women felt like a reward for all the failures and pain I've experienced before. Of course, it is not happily ever after story. Relationships are never that simple. I won't go any further into that since talking about relationship experience is beyond the context of this video. Basically, I got into the flow state of attracting a better potential partner for me. So, based on the lesson from my experiences, this is what I would like to suggest to you. Your home country and the people of your background might not be matched to you. In that case, you don't need to force yourself to like people of your own ethnicity. Don't try to fix yourself to fit in, nor try hard to date them. Don't victimize yourself. Be assertive. Accept the fact that you are unpopular with certain people and accept yourself that you don't like them. Don't fuel the hate and be consumed by it because that can develop bias and blindness. More importantly, that will ruin happiness and joy that you can have. Focus on what you like, not on what you don't like. Don't pay attention to dissatisfaction. from what you don't have and be grateful for what you have. Lastly, no woman, no cry.